Hello everyone, I'm Alex. Thank you so much for joining this session. So, what is the goal of this session? The goal of this session is for you to really understand what it feels like to study data and business analytics at IE University. First, you'll have the chance to meet Robert Podling, which is the Assistant Vice Dean of the degree. He will walk you through the structure of the degree and what you learn studying it. Then you have the chance to meet one of our current students who will share her project and her experience. It's a great opportunity for you to ask the student questions about the degree, what it feels like, her project, how it went like, etc. So you'll have the chance to have those two perspectives, how the degree is designed and how it feels like to really study it. Without waiting, we can welcome Robert. Thank you.
With the rise of AI, people seem to have a misconception about data scientists. Data scientists are still in a massively growing sector, and there are more and more needed every day. And you get the opportunity to come here to Madrid, the center of Spanish commerce, and experience the central location of Madrid, as well as the wonderful links and facilities that we have. So what would you be able to become by studying the Bachelor in Data and Business Analytics? Well, a data scientist is a role that can fit in any company and in any sector just about. You'll learn the most advanced analytic methods. You'll be able to work in several different languages, in R or Python, and you'll be able to analyze both normal data and big data. But then we'll take these skills beyond just a normal data scientist. Here at IE, you'll learn about things like data streaming, which is how things like maybe fraud detection works, or Uber. You'll learn how to build systems, in other words, that can capture data, process data in real time, and produce decision within seconds of the data being actually ingested into a system. We also advocate really advanced data methods. So you'll learn languages like Spark, which is an extension of normal data, where you'll be able to reduce and then work on amazing big data sets. And all of this results in actionable insights, things that companies can use to make bottom-line decisions. So what will you actually study as part of this degree? Well, you'll start off with the fundamentals. So in the first year, you'll study the basics of math, statistics. You'll also study a little calculus and get your head around the most important fundamental skills. You'll also learn to program and visualize data. So you'll use languages like Python in order to create really advanced data visualizations. You'll then also learn how to clean data, how to make data so that it's actually correct, so you make good decisions, and you'll learn how to use data in order to really take business decisions with accuracy and without the guesswork involved in the past. Here at IE, we have, like in all our degrees, lots of real great industry partners, so you'll be able to use OpenAI software, Microsoft software. We have both licenses and agreement with them to give you access to the latest tools and methods. And you'll learn not just from academics, like in a traditional university. You'll also learn from people who still work in the industry, people who can bring anecdotes and stories from real-world experiences. You'll learn what's going to be in the textbook in 5 years, not what's in the textbook today. You'll learn the latest cutting-edge techniques from people working at the very cutting edge in industry. And you'll also learn to lead global transformation, meaning that you'll learn how to take on some of the biggest challenges we face as a society today, from sustainability challenges through to challenges which are helping companies both become more efficient and, of course, helping to save the globe and fix the issue of global warming. You'll also be taking part in cutting-edge research. We have a data lab where we've been making huge breakthroughs in all elements of science, and we've had people working both with the students and with our internal professors in order to make these breakthroughs. And you'll influence strategic decisions in the future. So you'll be able to go into an organization and then be really involved in the whole company in making big decisions that make a difference for the future. Why is our program different then? Well, this program blends both technology and business. It gives you the ability to work as a project manager or a data scientist and coordinate with other technical people in an organization. You'll also get real-world experience. This won't be a textbook experience. So you'll be able to use real data with our professors in class doing real-world analysis and real practical work. You'll also develop the technical skills that industry demands. we're very proud at IE to say that most of our students, when they go into work, don't need lots of training. They're ready for work. They have the tech skills, they have the personal communication skills, and they have this very rounded ability to go into a job and start working rather than have to learn on day one. You'll learn from the very best in the world. We have an extremely diverse faculty. People have just come in, for example, from universities like MIT or Oxford, and as well, people who've been in business like myself. I was an entrepreneur before I came and worked at IE. So you have people who really understand not just the theoretical side, but the real practical application and how data can be used to make real decisions in companies. You'll also have real great opportunities taking this degree. There's a huge number of positions that you can take after you graduate, from the obvious role of data scientist through to business intelligence consultant, analytics consultant, decision maker, or even an expert in AI, because a big part of this degree is studying machine learning. You'll study both supervised and unsupervised learning, as well as neural networks and deep learning. So you'll be well fitted to go into this new age of AI and find your place in the workplace. Or you have many other options as well as going into work. This degree can be combined, for example, with a master's in New York or a master's with Brown University in order to give you an edge over all the other graduates in the world. So join us today and transform the future of data. I hope that there are many people out there who want to be great decision makers in the future. And I'd like to introduce one of them to you now. Now I'd like to hand over and introduce you to one of our students who will be presenting a project that we're extremely proud of, and we'll show you a little bit of the types of things that you'll be able to achieve here at IE.
Hi everyone, I'm Victoria Volman. I have been studying at IE for the past 5 years. I was raised in Argentina, and then I came over to Spain and I did an internship at AWS and studied also at the LSE. So I can talk to you guys about that later on, if that's interesting, because I think that's one of the great things that IE offers. But today I'm here to show you my final bachelor project, which is titled in the following way: From Orders to Orbit, How AI Learns What Businesses Need. So I want you to think for a second about your favorite cafe or juice bar. And this might be Starbucks coffee or Blank Street coffee if you're in the UK, or even Juan Valdez if you are from Latin America like I am. And these types of businesses need to think daily about how many cups they need to stock, what juices, what snacks, and they're guessing based on experience. So this is actually a problem that may not be so straightforward, but behind the scenes, someone else has a bigger problem: the food distributor that manages the delivery of their products to dozens of cafes and juice bars across a city or region. And every day they're managing the order requests from Juan Valdez, Starbucks, or Blank Street through WhatsApp, email, PDF, and Excel. So these cafes and juice bars, they're all asking for different products at different times. And this is what we call a business-to-business problem. So for this project, I've actually had the possibility to work with a company. It's a startup called Order2Be, and it's based in Spain, also present in Latin America and Europe. I'm going to dive deep into that later as well. But they're basically solving a problem that affects thousands of distributors. And this is because they realized that businesses need to order products and they do it the old way. So their solution is to come up with a bunch of agents that automatizes this process and makes it feasible for many, many clients to order worldwide. So basically, the old way a client would make an order is maybe through WhatsApp or through PDFs or through email, and then the salesman receives that order, analyzes it, and then sends it over to the administration, who need to manually update the ERP. However, with Order2Be, the company that I'm working with, the client is making an order, receiving it, then the food distributor receives it, and then Order2Be captures it, interprets it, and updates the ERP automatically without any type of human involved. So this is very, very cool, in my opinion. They're based in different countries around the world. So in Spain, they also have clients in Argentina, in Costa Rica, and in Chile. And this is the QR that I brought also if you guys want to check it out. But what I realized is that once you have those orders and that data, you can help distributors not just process what their clients are ordering, but also anticipate what they will need next. So this is what I came up with. It's a little robot called Orbit AI, and it's meant to sort of cater to these cafes and restaurants, leveraging the information to deliver smart order predictions. So I'm gonna jump very quickly into a very quick demo of how this works. So let's say that there's this company called Lemon Quarter who is sending information to the big food distributor. So without order to be involved, there would be a human typing and saying, okay, we got your order, it's being registered, and that's it. However, with order to be, the company that I'm working with, the ERP is automatically updated without any type of human having to read that and update the software later on. And now with my solution, what I'm doing is I'm offering more recommendations according to a series of variables and historic orders from those clients. It's kind of a complex process that I'm going to explain later as well. So essentially, I'm providing the affinity score of the products that I'm recommending. And there's also a little backend with a logo. And here, I don't want to dive too deep into this. I just want to show that the impact is huge. And this is, for reference, you know, a company that is growing, but of course, with the solution that I've implemented, they're generating more than 20% like extra revenue. So this was very, very sort of satisfactory to create. And as I was explaining before, the way that this is done, also I can dive deeper into this later, but essentially I'm taking the distributor database and I'm leveraging the 640 potential variables, analyzing which are relevant and which aren't, and then I'm putting them into different sort of folders, which we call data sets. So these are the interactions data set, the product features data set, and then the client features. And I'm leveraging those folders to answer the following question. How to design a system that waves together product data, customer profiles, and purchase interactions to predict what a business should order next? And this is my answer. So I'm doing 3 different filters. I'm doing a collaborative filtering, which essentially asks which clients are similar and leverages that information to recommend products that other similar clients have already ordered. Then there's a content-based filtering, which essentially leverages the information of that product in particular and then recommends other products that are similar to that product. So let's say that I'm Juan Valdez and I have ordered cups for my coffee, then I would probably recommend maybe dishware, plastic dishware. So relevant and similar products to what I've already ordered. And then finally, there's a demographic filtering, which basically understands what are the businesses located near you ordering and leveraging that information to recommend other products that those companies are requesting, let's say. And then I'm fusing them together and adding some temporal data as well. And here's a little bit of why it matters. Very long, but I think beyond whatever is in this slide, it matters because it has made me understand way more the life cycle of different businesses and also the satisfaction, right, of working with a real life company. So just to close up, remember that cafe or bar that I asked you to think about at the beginning? Well, they are leveraging all of these orders and they're sort of ingesting all of these orders at the same time, it's a lot of burden for them, and this will become even easier with Orbit AI and the order to be solution that I've explained before. So that's it. Ready to take any questions. Also, the thank you so much sign is up. So yeah.
So looking at the chat, we can look already some questions. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want. We'll be reading them and asking them to Victoria. So thank you so much, Victoria, for that great presentation. One of the questions is there any AI policy within the coursework? For example, are you allowed to use AI to help with assignments?
Yes. So I think this is one of the great things about IE in general, the fact that you can sort of leverage the ultimate cutting edge technology to do your coursework while obviously learning at the same time. So some of the classes have that intelligence within. So you're actually requested to use Claude or ChatGPT or all of these latest engines. But some other classes are not really, they're kind of against it for some particular projects. So it kind of depends. But yeah, my answer would be yes.
Thank you so much. And how would you rate the workload of this course from 1 to 10 if 1 is more relaxed and 10 is very, very hard? And how is it easy, or how easy it is to balance with extracurricular activities such as sport, for example?
I'm doing a dual degree. I'm doing beyond data and business analytics. I'm also doing PPLE, which is politics, philosophy, law, and economics. And I would say that in that case, it's a little bit tougher to study. Like you probably, doing a dual degree, you probably will have to say no to some plans. But I also think it's very much feasible. And I didn't have such a hard time, honestly.
A great question related to your project from Petro. Thank you, Petro. How did you come up with the idea?
Okay, so I was working with this company. I'm very excited about my project. I don't know if you realized, but I'm working with this company for a while, and I kind of understood that the clients were asking something from the company that we couldn't really focus on. So I took the time to work on it for my thesis. So that's my answer.
Great. Another question. She says, very nice project, by the way, so congratulations.
Thank you.
What challenges have you encountered and how has the IE program or the professors helped you?
Well, obviously, like for the bachelor thesis, you have a professor advising, and my professor in that case was great. He obviously they don't do the project for you, of course, that you have to do yourself, but he led me throughout it and was able to answer sort of all the questions that I had. So in that sense, professors are great.
Theodore asked a question, and it is, do you have a group project? Do you have group projects in general, and how often?
Okay, so we have, I would say relatively like often group projects. They usually let you pick your groups, and yeah, I think it's a good thing though. Like later on, once you go to the job market, you'll have to work in groups. So.
And are there more assignments or exams and assessments?
I think there are more assignments, but that's because of how practical IE is. So everything that you're doing is super focused on an actual delivery.
Another great question. What disadvantages do you find in this program?
That's a good question. I need to think about that. Maybe one is that sometimes, given that I'm studying a dual degree, so this is not for all degrees, and also my dual degree, I'm not sure if it's being offered anymore. So pretty sure the staff has improved it, but sometimes the classes are like overlapping. So sometimes the content that I've seen, mostly in PPLE though, not this one, in politics are sort of overlapping with economics and law. So I think, yeah, and I like to learn new things. So that's, yeah, a personal take.
A more personal question, would you recommend Segovia or Madrid?
Yeah.
And maybe why?
Good. So I was in Segovia. I studied there, and I loved it. I would recommend it to anyone, and I think it's the best place to start because at the beginning you haven't lived on your own ever, or at least that was my case. So the small town makes you feel like big, I would say.
And how many exams per class would you say do you have, considering you have a double degree?
Oof, many. but it's good. That's the way that you learn, I think. I don't regret having many exams.
Andrea says, Victoria, you seem like a great student.
Thank you.
How can I use the degree to become as talented as you? And also another question, did you start coding from scratch at IE University, or did you have a foundation already?
Thank you so much for that question. I think you should avoid imposter syndrome. I, at the beginning, wasn't going to study the Bachelor in Data and Business Analytics because I thought I wasn't cut out for it. And I took on the challenge, and it turned out pretty well. So I think, aside from that, aside from obviously trusting yourself, it's a lot of effort. So making sure that you're doing your things from the very first day and enjoying it as well. Yeah. And you said the other question?
So the other question is, did you start coding from scratch at IE University, or did you have any foundations already?
Right. I didn't have any foundations. Yeah.
Great. And how does data analysis contribute to AI the rapid development? And will this job disappear if AI eats the major parts of it?
Okay, so that's a question all of us are asking ourselves. I'm also on the job hunting. So hopefully, that process will end soon because I do have a couple of processes lined up and ready to go. But I do think that that this is sort of the future. If you look at many of these super big professionals that have been in the industry for more than 30 years, they tell you that you have to know data science. And I think that's completely true. I think beyond AI, data science is essential. It's going to be essential if it isn't now.
Great. And how do you usually study for the assignments or exams? Do you do it by yourself or in groups?
What I usually do is, it kind of depends on the class, right? So some of these classes are super, super hands-on. And for that, there's nothing else than just getting to do the exercises, which is sometimes scary, but once you do them, it's fine. And then I personally like to study individually first, and once I have the knowledge, then I kind of like to study in groups where we teach ourselves, each of us sort of presents a different topic. So I think that's a good combo.
And how is the student-teacher relationship? Can you ask for guidance and help for certain projects, for example, outside of the classes?
Definitely. Otherwise, it's hard to make it without your professors. And I do think that in that sense, I use sort of a very personal experience. I know many of my professors. Many of them also recommend you for jobs, which is a sort of a secret, but it's true. So leverage your relationship with professors. But yeah, throughout your program, let's say, they do help out whenever you're lost or you're missing out on some data.
And as a final year student, what advice can you give to students who are hoping to start the program at IE University? Any advice, any help?
I think Leveraging your network is super important. As I was saying, many of us, got roles because of a professor or because someone made an intro for us, and then obviously you have to show your skills. But some of them work at, AWS, Google, Microsoft. So that's a good sign. And then also your friends. Many of them are going to be very successful. That's also another thing about IE. I personally like it that you are in a classroom with some of the most intelligent people, and I swear by this, and I love it. I think it's super encouraging. So I guess those two things.
Kind of a similar question, but Ray's asks, were the professors interactive and helpful? For example, if you were struggling with a certain topic, will the professor help you to understand it and take the time?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yes, I would say so. I've had my professors help me out. I do think that another study tip is to leverage the AI. I asked ChatGPT to explain me every single thing that I haven't understood, and I think it's a great move. Honestly, use it for making exams, helping you answer the homework questions, whatever it is. Yeah.
And what topics or skills would you recommend studying beforehand to prepare, if there's any that you need? And which areas of math and coding are the most important in the first year?
So I think, as I was saying, I wasn't even planning to study the Bachelor in Data and Business Analytics. And I wouldn't say, I loved math as a kid, but I wasn't maybe some of you are doing the IB advanced mega hyper math. I wasn't doing that. And what I'm trying to say is you don't need to have the super hyper math degree to get into this degree. I would say if you want to start doing something, maybe some Python or statistics. Those were kind of challenging the first year, but I think you can do it.
Great. One final question. Is there any way to prepare for the program?
I just answered that, but yeah, just apply.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Victoria. This was a great session. I hope you enjoyed it and we answered a few of your questions. And we hope to see you soon with us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.